Hello, welcome back to our fifth and final episode of Global Citizen Solutions and Goldcrest Real Estate School Week. For the past 4 days, we have delved into the landscape of the international schooling system in Portugal, and we spoke with educational consultants, we spoke with parents, school principals, as well as our experts in real estate, visa, and relocation services. Today is a final live session. So today we will be talking about a much loved region of Portugal, the sunny Algarve. Our real estate specialist in the region, Enrique Arcay, will share some interesting local knowledge about the area. We will also have here, for the first time, Isabel Higino. She is a senior immigration advisor at Global Citizen Solutions. She also lived in the region of Algarve, and she will share with you all you need to know about visa and relocation. And finally, again, we will have Nathalie Willis-Davis, an education consultant and founder at Tendoria, who will join us again to share insights about education and the international schooling system in Portugal. As always, let's go through some housekeeping before we begin. This live session is expected to last around 40 minutes. And then I will ask our guests a few questions. And after I ask these questions, we will open the floor to a Q&A session. I might not be able to go through all your questions at the end, but our live sessions are recorded and will be available on our social media and YouTube channel. That means if you need to leave early or if we didn't answer your question, there will be an answer after we post the broadcast. Okay. So before we start, I'd like to provide an overview of the schooling landscape in Portugal for our viewers. So over the past 5 years, the number of international schools in the country has doubled, offering a wide range of international certificates for parents considering a move to Portugal. And this was the motivation behind Global Citizen Solutions and Goldcrest creating an international school guide, which is available online and in print. So I will show this to you now, and I know I've been doing it every live, but in case you haven't seen yet. So this is a print version. So here we have 51 schools in total, okay? And I will show you that it is split between regions. And there's a little map here, not here, here, there you go. North, Centre, Greater Lisbon. Here we have the Azores and Madeira, and then down the Algarve. So there's a very important number here. Around 51 schools in Portugal. There's more than that, okay? But we were quite criterious when we chose the schools that we were going to list here. But anyway, from this total, there are 12 schools in the Algarve region. So, and 30 in Greater Lisbon. And then the remaining schools are around North Centre Madeira Island. What I want to say is some people believe that the Algarve region is a region of retirement only, but the number of international schools there just says the opposite. It's actually a destination for families. Hence why we chose to host a live about the Algarve. Most of the schools are located within the region of Algarve. I will show you the map because I think it's good to for you to see how interesting this region is. So here's the map. So it's quite long. Most of the schools are located in a area called Lule. And Enrique will be able to correct my pronunciation here. But there's also in Lagos, Algesur, Tavira, Albufeira, Silvas, Olhão. And let me see if I'm missing something. No. Yeah, Lagoa. in Lagoa. But we will go through all these regions and we will see where the real estate opportunities are there as well, and what you need to do if you want to relocate to the area. So, I'd like first, I will ask our speaker, Natalie, to briefly introduce herself and her respective role in assisting families relocating to Portugal in choosing their international school.
Hi, Jazan. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm Nathalie Willis-Davis. I'm a French-Dutch New Yorker. My family and I moved to Cascais almost 4 years ago from London, and I launched my education consultancy in 2020 to assist families with their own school search in Portugal. So having gone through the process myself with my 2 school-age children, I knew how challenging it was to obtain the information I needed in order to be able to identify the right school. So my role is to simplify the school search process by explaining the various curriculums on offer and recommending the best fit schools for children based on a family's requirements. So my clients not only save a lot of time, but they also gain peace of mind as they know that I'll guide them to the right school. So I've in fact placed dozens of families at schools across the country, both at international and Portuguese schools.
Great, and I also like to add that Natalie consulted and helped us put together this guide of international schools. So yeah, has a very deep knowledge about education, and so I'd like to ask her, Natalie, what do you believe is important for parents to consider when choosing school for their children in a different country?
Yeah, well, there are indeed several factors to consider when choosing an international school in a new country. The basics are curriculum, academic achievement, pastoral care, the extra and co-curricular offering, location and fees. Those are the key ones. In many cases, it's best to select a school that offers the same or similar curriculum that the child is following in order to minimize academic disruption. And it's also helpful to look for schools that offer activities and sports that the child is interested in to ease the transition. One factor that I always highlight to my globally mobile clients is the impact that the parent community at the new school can have on their social life. So as an expat, the school tends to be the social focal point. And the transition to a new country can be smoother if one finds like-minded people who want to socialize. So it's worth doing that research on that. And I also recommend that a family with a neurodiverse child look into what special education need provisions are available at a particular school, as well as what additional support services are available outside of school, so in the region or in the country at large.
Okay. So now let's say, let's think of a family with this already decided that we're moving to Portugal. Okay, so the country is decided. So how do we go about choosing an international school in the Algarve? Where do I go for research? Where can I find information beyond the school guides by Global Citizen Solutions?
Well, I was going to say your school guide is a great place to start. Because then families have the list of the schools and also not only the list, but their location on the map, which for some families is helpful because some may want to live in a particular city, for example. But once you have this list, once they have the list, parents can then review the websites of the schools. That's always a very good place to start. And then they can start to match what the school have to offer with the list of what they are looking for. So whether that's curriculum or location, as I mentioned, fees is another important one, right? So all the factors I mentioned earlier. And then I recommend that families book in school visits, as that's really the best way to get a feel for the schools. And families should ask a lot of questions during the visit to ensure there'll be no surprises should they decide to join. So for example, if a family would like their child to learn Portuguese, they should ask how many times a week Portuguese is offered. In some schools, it's twice a week. In some schools, it's 5 times a week. The other important aspect is how many levels of Portuguese are offered. Mm-hmm. So it's usually best if 3 levels are offered, so meaning so total beginner, intermediate, and native group, because then your child is able to move through those different groups. It's a bit more difficult to move groups if you only have the non-native and native, because it's harder to bridge that gap.
I see. I see. So, would you say that a recce trip would also be recommended?
Yes, absolutely. And that's doing the recce trip, so the school visit, and also then checking out the neighborhood, seeing what extracurricular activities are available in the local clubs, whether there's a particular sport or activity that the child is interested in, look into that. A good place to look into is they sometimes have community centers in these cities. Like I know Lule has a community center which offers a variety of sports. So maybe go there and visit and see what's available and take a look at the facilities and see if it's what you were expecting.
That's great. Yeah. No, good. I think so. Yeah, that's good news for our parents. They should go and visit the Algarve. It's a beautiful
Yes.
area. Um, and now let's talk about the international curricula available in the region. From my understanding, the Algarve is a very a British area of Portugal. There are, by that I mean, lots of the expats come from the UK, and I believe that has reflected in the curriculum offered by the schools there. But are there also other curriculars or academic programs offered in the Algarve?
Yes, absolutely. And you are correct that traditionally, I think there was the largest concentration of British families that were in the Algarve. I'm not sure that's the case today, but I guess because of that legacy, the British curriculum is really prevalent in the Algarve. And so all the schools offer the British curriculum, the English language international schools, that is. And they culminate in the British diploma named A-levels. So unlike in the Lisbon region and Porto, where you have both A-levels and the IB diploma program offered, the Algarve is only A-levels.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
besides, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a factor for some families.
Mm-hmm.
So besides the British curriculum, a number of schools targeted to children under the age of 12 offer alternative or progressive curriculum such as Montessori, Reggio Emilia, and forest schools in English. And then besides English medium international schools, there's a German and a Dutch school which offer their home country curriculum
Yeah,
in their own language.
in their own language. Great. Okay, so that's good. So Natalie, I'll move on to stay there because there will be more questions for you, I'm sure, from the Q&A. So now let's move on to Isabel. So Isabel, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at Global Citizen Solutions?
Hi, hello, Gisani. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm graduated in law with 5 years of experience, mostly in immigration law, originally from Brazil, but I have been located in Portugal for the past 4 years almost. What I always like to mention to my clients is that I've been through the same process before. I completely understand their needs and I'm ready to answer all the questions that may rise. I'm also an immigrant, so I understand.
Great, yeah. No, so yeah, also an immigrant and a parent. So
And the parent.
and a parent. And you also lived in the Algarve, so
Yes.
you definitely know can walk the same shoes. So I'm going to ask you because you deal with a lot of clients. So I want to ask you what are the common concerns that families have when they're looking to relocate into a new place?
Well, the first concern that I would mention is definitely housing. Finding a suitable housing that meets their specific needs in terms of sizing, affordability, and also the proximity of the amenities. And the
Mm-hmm.
second one should be education. When a parent is looking for a new place, definitely the quality of the education available in the new location is a main concern. They always want to ensure that there are good schools and education opportunities, of course, for their children. I would also like to highlight employment opportunity, also healthcare, and cultural and social integration as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that because the social integration, the importance of the community is something that has been highlighted through all the lives. And we heard from different school representatives, different from parents as well, that it's very important to them that they find an opportunity to integrate with the community. Right. So now I'm going to ask you, Isabel, what, as a visa expert, what should families relocating consider to Portugal and obviously the Algarve region? But what should they consider in terms of legal requirements and visa processes?
Okay, so the families, they first need to understand a little bit about the specific requirements for obtaining the residency here in Portugal. It
Okay.
starts with the visa, and we might also add the permits and also other documentations. There are specific requirements for each situation. So it's recommended that all the families, they seek legal assistance, of course, from professionals who are specialized in immigration and also relocation services.
Okay. Good. And then how about how do you assist families with the relocation process, particularly when they are looking for international schools
Okay,
or students?
beyond the guide that you showed us already, of course, we are when we are assisting the families to relocate, we also with regards to the children's schools, we may also help families to research and identify suitable schools for them in the specifically Algarve region. This may involve also considering the curriculum, the language of instructions, all the extra curriculum activities, and also the educational philosophy, for instance. Arrange visits for them if they would like to potential schools, provide detailed information about the school's application process, and also regarding deadlines, required documents, or any other specific application criteria. Assist families in obtaining transferring academic records, all the documentation that they will need to provide from the schools before, and then also support during the initial stage of relocation as orientation sessions, and also, as we mentioned before, the cultural integration orientation, which we believe is also very important.
Okay. Very good information, Isabel. I have one question now. Which is your favorite beach in the Algarve?
That's really hard to answer. I do love the islands that we have by Olhão, and one of them is Armona. It's definitely my favorite. It's
It's
not
one day.
mainstream.
Yeah. Do you need to cross by boat or no?
Yes, you need to cross by boat, and this is my
Okay.
favorite part of the whole ride.
And it's and it's kids friendly as
It
well.
is. It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Make note now. Um, People watching us. I'm going to speak to, thank you, Isabel. Now I'm going to speak to Enrique, but first I'd like to address our viewers. So keep putting your questions here. We will get to the Q&A soon, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all the questions we have. And yeah, so let's move on to Enrique. So, Enrique, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at Goldcrest?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Gisani. I'm Venezuelan, and I've been in Portugal for right now 8 years, and working on real estate all the time. I have been doing property consultant with basically foreigners from all countries abroad, and I help them find the perfect house that fits for each family. So basically, we go through the market looking for properties as a buyer's agent to get the ideal home.
Yeah. So you basically you work for the client and help the client find the real estate rather than a I don't know, like a traditional real estate agent that would be putting forward lots of properties for one person to look at.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And then tell me now a bit about the region of Algarve. I know Algarve is very, how do you say, there's lots of different Algarves within one place. You can find nature and green, and there's also amazing beaches. So can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes, of course. So yeah, the Algarve is very diversified. If you look, I will divide the Algarve in three areas: the east, the central, and the west. Each one is different from each other. We can start with the central, which is where you have the airport, which you have areas actually where you have most international schools in that area, I believe. And is where you have, for example, the Golden Triangle. That is where you have the high-end part of the Algarve, which it's an area that have a lot of golf courses around. I mean, you have around 30 golf courses around the Algarve. Most of them are on that area, and you have beautiful cities like Lolé that are very traditional, that have a lot to offer. But you also have cities like Vilamora that are more, I would say, more new. And for example, you have the Vilamora Marina, which is incredible. You have very high-end areas like Quinta do Lago. So there is a lot to offer on Central Algarve. So a bit of everything, I would say. The beaches are also amazing. Then you have the east, that it's a bit more calm, so a bit less touristy, I would say, than the other parts. Although they do have tourism, but less. You have cities like Tavira, Fuseta, Vila Real de Santo Antonio, which in my opinions, they have the best beaches for relaxing in the Algarve. Actually, one of the islands that Isabel said was there, the island of Armona. So it's if you want to relax and have a calm life, quality of life, and have everything, though, because you have hospitals, schools, you have everything, but it's a bit more calm, I would say. Is the perfect place. And then we can go to the west, which is the more touristy area of them all. You have cities like Lagos, Carvoeiro, a bit of Albufeira. Some people would say that is central, others west. But it is where you have the most. For example, you have Albufeira, where all the party happens, where you have all the nightclubs. Even though it has a very nice area, which is more family oriented, it's like the part. The people say it's the party area, which it is. Then you have places like Lagos that have a very nice diversity between culturally. You have a very nice expat community. It's a city that has a bit of all. Also very nice beaches. Basically, is where is the postal card of the Algarve. If you put the Algarve on Google, probably most of the pictures will be from Lagos. It's a beautiful town.
Is Praia da Marinha there?
Praia da Marinha?
Yeah, because that's always in the...
So it's on the west. Praia da Marinha is on Lagos. Yeah, it's one of the
okay.
on the town of Lagos. It's a beautiful beach. Very nice to take pictures. Although maybe not as perfect to relax because it's very small. But yeah, the Algarve, each area has their own charm, I would say, and it has a bit for every type of family that wants to come and live here. So that's part of our job too, to educate the families on, get to know them and their tastes and what they like, from food to hobbies, from everything, to try to pinpoint them in the right direction in what cities will be good or bad for them.
Yeah, it all depends on what the client needs.
Of course. Yeah.
So you've mentioned, I think I've already answered my next question, but I will ask anyway. I was thinking, what are the unique advantages or benefits for families that decide to um, go relocate to the Algarve and therefore go for international school in the Algarve region. Is there something different that they would not get if they move to central Portugal, London, in Lisbon or north?
Well, if they like a sunny place, Algarve is the best place. So it's
Mhm.
where you have the least rain in Portugal.
Portugal,
Uh,
yeah.
you have over 300 days of sun, so that's amazing. Um, I mean, and I would say, I mean, you have all the basics from Portugal, like I mean, a very nice quality of life. The food over there is very, very good. If you like fish or even meat, you can find all kind of restaurants.
Hmm.
And it's hard to find a place that you will say, "Oh, I didn't like this food." So, um,
And
and
it's
I
more
will,
laid back, yeah, as well.
yeah, I will say the expat community in some of the cities they are very nice. They are It's a nice mixture between nationalities
Hmm.
and also the Portuguese culture. Because I mean, if you're coming to, it's also very nice to have a bit of that mix.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And there's also an international airport in Faro, so it's good to be close
That's right.
to direct flights to a lot of UK cities,
All of Europe, actually,
all of Europe. Okay.
you could fly to all of Europe from and some places like Morocco's too. Um, I've heard that they're opening flights to the US next year, so hopefully you will be able to fly from the US to Faro Airport
Oh,
next
that's
year.
great
So that's very
news.
nice.
Excellent. Okay, so then now, which areas can you recommend in the Algarve with is there any? Sorry, but you actually recommend a lot of areas here. Forget that question. What is the average price? Let's talk about practicalities here. What
Okay.
is the average price for a three-bedroom villa there?
Um, well, it really depends. It's very hard to put on average because
Mm,
I mean, let's put it like this: the closer that you get to the sea, it's going to be a higher price.
yeah.
So if you're looking for a place in Lowland or in the mountains, three-bedroom villa, of course, if it depends if it's used, how many years it has, if it's new. Um, so in the mountains, a used house, livable, could go from the 700s to 1.5 million, and I mean, new could be around that too, well, around the 1.5 on the mountains. But if you go down, also depends on the size. If you're
Hmm.
looking for a very small villa, not detached, um, you could get it from half a million used near the beach, um, to I mean 3 4. It really depends on the luxury of the family ones and the size. Even you have many kinds of three-bedroom villas. If they want a pool, if they want a sea view.
Hmm.
um, so you have, I would say, you have a bit for everyone. And also it depends, of course, on um, on the city, because different cities have different prices. But yeah, to give you an average, I will put, if you ask me for a number, 800K as an average.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to ask our production team to type the name of all these towns that you mentioned, areas and regions, so then that our viewers could start doing their research, looking for pictures, and getting familiar with the location. So finally, I will open the Q&A, but before that, I just want to ask if is there any current real estate projects that you would like to talk about, Enrique, in the area?
Yeah, you have some very nice projects. For example, there's one that I like a lot that is called Suncliff in Lagos.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a very unique building over there, and with sea views. You have projects of villas like the Pestana Valley, for example, which offers nice 3-bedroom villas for around 600,000 in Carvoeiro near the Noble School. You have Palmares Ocean Living in near Lagos too. Over there, you can buy a pretty big villa. I mean, you really have a lot of development right now in the Algarve. It's a matter of what do you like. There are many independent constructors over there doing very nice villas. So it's just a matter of contacting us, and we can help the clients with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, if you want to speak to Enrique, just our team will share his contact details now, and you can book a one-on-one with him. So it's time to start the Q&A. And I'd like to say that we have lots of questions here, but we won't be able to answer all of them. So I will try to group some themes into the same question. And one that is quite recurrent here, and I think that one is for Nathalie, is how the schools facilitate language acquisition and smooth the integration of children from different backgrounds.
Yeah, that's a good question. Many of my clients do have children who don't speak English when they arrive in Portugal. And so, of course, the younger the child, the better a school can accommodate that child. Schools in general will offer what's called an EAL program, which stands for English as an Additional Language. And this provision varies by school, but in general, children are taken out of the classes once or twice a week for one-to-one or group English lessons during the school day. So it's recommended that students, or I recommend that students with limited English start learning the language prior to joining the school if possible in order to ease that integration. But children tend to learn quickly on the playground. But our viewers should keep in mind that some schools may not offer EAL after a certain age, and that most schools require a minimum level of English when applying to secondary school, especially for year 10 and up. That's when the IGCSE program begins.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's important.
Yeah.
And how about Portuguese? How's the kids that speak Portuguese? How they that don't speak Portuguese?
Well, that's more of an issue if they go to a Portuguese school. An international school, if they don't speak Portuguese, they'll just be placed in that first beginner group.
Okay.
And so that's quite an easy transition because all the other kids in that group will be beginners as well.
Okay. Great. And then there's another one for Nathalie, which it also brings up the topic of community involvement as well. Mm-hmm. So how important are the extracurricular activities and community involvement when selecting an international school?
Yeah, that's also a good question. They are important. So an active and welcoming parent community can make an expat's transition so much easier. So by providing basically a ready-made social network that the family can lean on. And it's important for new families to have ways in which to socialize and make friends, and also learn from others about the ins and outs of life in the new country. And similarly, extracurricular activities are a great way for students to meet a wider range of other children and peers who share the same interests. So, for example, being on a school team, a school football team or a volleyball team, reinforces this feeling of belonging, which is an important aspect of any successful transition to a new school and country.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me see. Got quite a lot of questions. There's one here which is very interesting, and it's about visa. And it would be nice if Isabel could shine a light there. So it looks like the golden visa is ending. And can you share an overview of what is needed to apply for a resident visa? How do we apply for that?
Sure. We actually need to first determine the appropriate visa category of the family. So, because there are several types of visa available for Portugal now, we have, for example, working visa, studying visa, investments, and even family reunification visas. So, the first part is identify the category that fits specific circumstances. Also, the second part should be gathering the necessary documents, prepare the necessary documentation for the visa application. Then I would just add I will say just a few documents, but it's not just this. So we have the passports, the application forms, proof of sufficient financial means of subsistence here in Portugal, criminal records, health insurance, proof of accommodation, and other specific documents. So this is more of a general idea. This process is also divided in a few parts. There's first the application submission, application processing, interview, and finally the visa decision and issuance. Uh, as an important note is that specific requirements they produces and procedures and processing times are going to vary according to the specific type of visa. So it's actually a matter of finding the best solution and the best visa that is appropriated for each case.
I see. So it's all done on a case by case sort of situation. And best thing to do is to organize a call or drop an email and to assess what is the need of this family or individual. Right, and then a question here about which towns in the Algarve that offer a good expat community as well as international school options. Enrique, maybe one for you.
Yes. So if they are looking for the wider range of international schools, I will say stay around Vila Moura or Lagos. Although, for example, if you look at the Noble School, which is the biggest one right now in Lagoa, the students are all a bit scattered around the place. So some of them they will live in Carvoeiro, others in Lagos, Portimão, and they have a school bus that goes and takes them every day. But I mean, right now the expat community in the Algarve is very big, and you have them all around the Algarve. I would say if you could stay around the Carvoeiro, get the Carvoeiro area as a central area, and then go like a 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers circle will be probably where you have the best area. But it really depends on the family needs. It depends from family to family and what do they want. I don't know if I was able to respond the question right. I think I went off topic. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, you did. You did answer. Right. So I was just thinking that there's actually virtually no time left. It's 10 seconds to finish live. But we covered everything. I still need to know, Natalie, have you been to the Algarve?
Yes, of course. I visited all the schools.
So
Yes.
of course. Which is your favorite area there?
I tend to go to the Almancil area. I like the beaches there, Valle do Lobo, etc. Yeah, I like the area and have friends who live there, so I guess that's why I like it as well.
And how about you, Enrique? Which is that special area of Algarve for you?
I love Lagos. I love the beaches around and the city itself. I think it has everything.
Yeah,
very nice mixture.
Yeah, I like Tavira. Cool. It's very beautiful there, and also very close to Spain. Guys, thank you very much. So we now reached the end of our school week, and I do hope that you managed to get a lot of information about the schooling system here, as well as the different, the particularities of each region. You got to meet our specialists. We got to meet our A-team of guests that came and shared their experiences as well as their knowledge about schools in Portugal. So if you need to get in touch with all of them, any of them, just drop us a line here in our chat and we will share the information with you. And that's it. Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you, Enrique and Isabel. And I hope to see you at some point our next live. Take care.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.